Hello, my beloved YouTube people. I know my lighting is like absolutely atrocious, but I swear it's the best I can do with what my broke ass has. So I got something to talk about with y'all, and considering I've lost 4 subscribers, I assume because of the video that I made last night, and only like 10 people saw it. How do I put this? Okay, so from the time that I started on YouTube, this was never like something to earn $1 million and get rich and famous on. It's not that hard to do, quite frankly. Like, when I got really, really sick back in December, I got hooked on YouTube drama channels, and I learned that it is not hard to be a big name on YouTube. All you have to do is study the drama bullshit, or better yet, start the drama bullshit. Yes, Trisha Paytas, I'm looking at you, and you can make $1 million pretty quickly. That was never my intention with my channel. I never expected to be some, huge big name, which ironically enough I am not. How do I put this? Sometimes I feel as if I am screaming into the void. And I know that's pretty much what I do with my videos, because nobody fucking watches them, let's be straight up. But at least it's something to make me feel like I've had a voice. Because you can't get your voice out with your vote. The DNC makes sure of that. Republicans make sure of that. Everybody makes sure of that. So your vote's fucking useless. You can't use that to get your voice out. I do use Facebook, but I have as many people that read my posts, I'm sure, as what watches my videos. Very small number. But it at least makes me feel like I'm getting shit off my chest when I'm ready to explode. And that's where I'm at tonight. I'm already seeing we're going to preemptively blame Bernie and his supporters for Joe Biden losing bullshit. The interview that he did with Whoopi Goldberg, she should be fucking fired for that. Can you imagine the outrage you would hear if Meghan McCain spoke with their beloved Joe Biden like that? Which of course she would never do, because he was buddy with John McCain for decades. And why not? They supported the same policies. But could you imagine? They would have her off that show like that. But Whoopi, who, by the way, I loved all my life. Whoopi Goldberg used to be one of my favorite people in Hollywood. And now, quite frankly, it's gotten to the point where I can't stand the fucking sight of her. I mean, just because she got lucky, and that's what it was, luck. Plenty of people have talent, and they live on the fucking streets. Like, let's not forget that. I'm sure there are plenty of homeless people who could make you laugh. Or write a book, or paint a picture. Some people get lucky in their lives, and some people remain in the shit. Okay? She got lucky. Good for her. Now, she's forgotten where she came from, because there's no way all of that animosity is for Bernie as a person. She don't even fucking know him. No, it's for Bernie, the guy who stands up for the poor and might charge her a little more on taxes. You ever see him talk to or about Donald Trump the way they talk to and about Bernie Sanders? Ever? Hell, they're part of why he's president. And why not? It's great for ratings, right? So, I think she should be fired from The View for the and it's not just because it's Bernie. If you are a host of a fucking TV show, especially if you're hosting with like 4 or 5 other people, you have no right to bring someone on your platform and speak to them like that. And by the way, for the fucking record, Bernie tried a hell of a lot harder to get Hillary elected than she tried for Barack Obama in 2008. But yet somehow it's... Can I ask you a question? Before 2016, can y'all ever remember a time when it was the job of the person who lost the nomination to make sure the person who won got elected? Because the way I used to remember this shit going was, if you were the nominee, it was your job to get people to vote for you. I know, fucking mind-blowing revolutionary shit right there. It is not the job of Bernie Sanders to get his supporters on the side of Joe Biden. It is Joe Biden's job to get people to vote for him. It's a fact of life. In every other election except when Bernie Sanders is involved. Like, what the fuck, man? Here's the reality of the situation. I got a poll for y'all. Just came out a few days ago. You can check it on abc.com or just look up latest polls of enthusiasm. Okay. In 2016, at this same time, 32% of people who were voting for Hillary said that they were very enthusiastic about it. Okay? Right now, Biden's level of very enthusiastic among his own voters is 24%. Only 24% of all people who are saying they're voting for Joe Biden actually want to be voting for Joe Biden. Donald Trump's, by the way, among his base, 55%. You want to know what that means? Okay? That means if it's rainy, if it's cold, if they have a migraine, almost 80% of all people voting for Biden aren't going to come to the fucking polls. You don't win like that. Not only that, anyone with half a fucking brain knows it's not the centrists that you have to kiss ass to win. The largest block of voters in this country are the non-voters. People, about my age. You know, the people Joe Biden fucked with his policies on every single level. And then Joe Biden, reincarnation of Marie Antoinette, goes on a news thing and was laughing and talking about how he has no empathy for us. We just need to work harder. We never get away from student loan debt because of Joe Biden. Many people that I know and that every poor person knows has been to prison because of Joe Biden's crime bill. Like, I could go on and on and on, and a lot of people that I grew up with ended up in Iraq and Afghanistan, and not all of them came back. And that's all. Joe Biden supported every single bit of that. If not, flat out wrote it like he did with the crime bill. Like, my generation cannot buy a house because of the mess that was made by the likes of Joe Biden. My generation is the first generation to do worse than their parents in 100 years, partially because of Joe Biden. No, those non-voters, they're not going to vote for him. No one's going to vote for him. The best his own wife could do was basically, we're going to make sure you have no choice, so you might as well suck it up, swallow it, and vote for Joe. No, bitch. No. Maybe that's how you ended up with Joe Biden, but we're not making your mistakes, or at least I'm not. Like, on top of that, you add the fact that you can see compilation videos of this son of a bitch touching women he does not know, wherever he wants, however he wants, in front of cameras, in broad daylight, with an audience. What do you think he does in private? But please, by all means, tell me how there's no way he sexually assaulted his staffer in 1993. Because that's totally out of character for him. Get the fuck out of here. Sorry. No. If y'all let them take our voice away from us the way that they're doing, and you don't fight, and you instead lay down and go, oh, well, even though the primary is still going on, I guess it's Joe, then it will be your fucking fault when we have Donald Trump. Because Joe Biden, without the Alzheimer's and dementia, unelectable. Joe Biden with it? This ain't weekend at Bernie's, bro. I'm just saying. Like, that's what this feels like. Like, the DNC is carting around Joe Biden, making his mouth move every once in a while, and trying to pretend like there's something there that ain't there. Now, they're either going to, it's either one of two things, mark my words on this. Either their plan is to wait till he picks his VP, which I assume is going to be Kamala Harris, but whoever it is, it will be the candidate they wanted all along. And if he makes it through the race, they're going to invoke the 25th Amendment as soon as he's in there and say he's incompetent. Or they're going to just give all of his votes to whoever his VP is and be like, okay, this is your new candidate. Either way, the minute they close down every fucking polling station in every state because Bernie Sanders won the first 4 primaries, and they realized, oh, wow, there's more poor people than there are rich people, and Bernie Sanders is actually looking out for them. Yeah, we might want to purge the voter list and close down all the polls, because that's what they did. Look at what people were saying in Texas, in Missouri, in a million other states. Then, as if that wasn't bad enough, they weaponized the coronavirus against their own voters. That's the point where, yes, we are done with the whole process. They are not electing anyone. They are anointing him. They are crowning him king of the DNC. Which is why I sincerely hope that Bernie says, fuck all of you, and goes third party. But the reality is, you look at these statistics. Now, of course, even though Bernie is still in the primary, they didn't include Bernie in this poll about enthusiasm. Gee, I wonder why that is. But if you just go on his policies alone, every major policy before the coronavirus hit, let alone now, his wanting a higher minimum wage, wanting workers' rights, wanting paid sick leave, wanting Medicare for all. A majority of Americans supported every single one of those things before the coronavirus. Imagine how many support it now. Because guess what? When the coronavirus hit and shit got real, everybody was like, hey, the government needs to take care of that. And then you look at Denmark, which is more or less what Bernie, the vision he has for here, in terms of the healthcare, how their employees are treated, all of that, right? You know, a country that's doing much better than us in education, health, happiness, whole 9 yards. Okay. They have already flattened the curve from their coronavirus. And they didn't shut things down way before we did or anything like that. But they are right now the government's paying 75% of everybody's monthly salary, and then the employer pays 25%. So nobody's missing out on money. Of course, there will be people who end up unemployed, and I'm sure they have a system for that too, because Denmark has system for everything. But when you have a situation like that on top of universal health care, people are not going to work sick, spreading it to everybody because they have no choice. Yeah, that tends to flatten the curve. You're not going to get that from Trump. And you're damn sure not going to get that from Joe Biden. Don't ever forget 2008. Don't ever forget who it was he was worried about. Wasn't us. Not at all. Thanks to him and his friends and bailing out the banks with no strings attached and bailing out the loan companies with no strings attached, millions of Americans lost their homes. Now, if you're doing a bailout, like you bail out the banks and the banks don't kick people out of their homes, yes, that makes sense. That is our tax dollars, because don't forget, corporations and billionaires pay little to nothing in taxes in this country, which, by the way, every other developed country in the world thinks that's fucking insane. Just saying. Anyway, That is our tax dollars we pay into benefiting us. Makes perfect sense. Everybody gets paid. Nobody loses out. I get that. Just like with what they did this time around. Handing trillions to corporations. Little to no strings attached. They could have, if they weren't owned by the corporations and paid by the corporations and looking out for the best interest of the corporations, they could have done the stimulus package and said, here are the stipulations to this money. And it could have been stipulations like, gee, I don't know, you keep your employees employed. You keep their health insurance current. Things like that. But no, we would not want to inconvenience Boeing, the people who threaten to go make warplanes for Russia if we put stipulations on their money. Yeah, let's not inconvenience them. All of the vitriol that you see toward Bernie Sanders should really piss you off. And I'm going to tell you why. I don't have millionaires who are watching my videos. I love billionaires. Obviously, I am just a regular housewife. I'm poor as fuck. I have been all my life. But as such, I know poor people pretty fucking well. And poor people we're just like Bernie Sanders' campaign. Multicultural, multiracial, multi-generational. We're all in this shit together, which is why if you look at a Bernie Sanders rally, it looks a fuck of a lot more diverse than Joe Biden's with his token brown person behind him, or Donald Trump's with his token brown person behind him. It's diverse for a reason, because he unites poor people. He is not the divisive one, my friends. He is the one who brings everybody together. Statistical fact. He has never looked at an entire generation, let alone one he fucked over, and said, I have no empathy for you. You need to work harder. Especially when that generation has to work 2 or 3 jobs every single day to survive. Work harder? Yeah, okay, buddy. Joe Biden, literally, you can find multiple videos of him looking at people who ask him questions about the planet we have to live on and how he takes money from the oil companies and the fossil fuel industry. And he looks at them and says, well, if you don't like it, don't vote for me. So when people don't vote for him, don't you fucking dare blame Bernie and his supporters. It's not Bernie's job to run Biden's campaign. When he loses, and Trump is our president for 4 more years, it's going to be because people believe the media, who's the mouthpieces for the corporations, and they didn't listen to polls like the one that just came out that even ABC reported on. And I have a theory. I believe that the Bernie Sanders enthusiasm thing was absolutely measured. They just did not include it. And there's a reason for that. Anyway, you read the numbers. It's all right there. He has the same policies as Hillary Clinton, which are killing poor people. I know the rich don't give a fuck, but there are more of us than there are of them. And same old ain't gonna work for poor people. We were on the edge before coronavirus. Couldn't pay rent, couldn't feed our kids, none of it, okay? Then you add coronavirus in on it. And it's a fucking recipe for disaster. And, yeah, he has the same policies that no one wanted from Hillary Clinton. And to add to that, he touches women and girls like we're inanimate fucking objects. Girls as little as River's age. And then you add to that, he has Alzheimer's or dementia. He can't make it through a 10-minute conversation without the blank look in his eyes and thinking he did something wrong. Key staples of Alzheimer's. Like, the This is madness. Absolute madness, what we're letting them get away with. But if Biden is the one who wins, and Bernie does not challenge him as a third-party candidate, and Biden loses, it'll be the fault of everybody who supported Biden. Won't be Bernie's fault, won't be his supporters, because it's not our job. How about y'all look at the polls, jump ship, and join the guy whose policies people are literally dying for right now? Let's not forget, 17-year-old boy goes into an urgent care in California. He has coronavirus. They sent him home because he had no insurance, and now he's dead. People are literally dying for what Bernie Sanders is trying to give us. And the rich despise us so much that Whoopi Goldberg gets on television, makes an absolute fucking fool of herself, because she looked like a fool in that interview, and does all that for the fact that she loves her tax breaks from Donald Trump. We're dying. Poor people are dying. And they care so much that they would choose the tax breaks over our life. That's where we're at. God bless America, right? So yeah, blame Biden supporters when Biden loses. I love you all, and